I called Gunther and then said, we've got to build an electric car. He said 4 years. But I said, I need it in less than a year. Yeah. People will always want to invest in Tata Motors. Many people want to invest in Jaguar. From our point of view, we'll always be open for collaboration. I had the approval, I had the money, I could have infused it. It's our companies. We run these companies. And we have a great future for these companies.
Tata Motors is firing on all cylinders. It has hit new peaks in all sectors. It has taken a dominant position in the EV space. And today we have a very, very special guest, the man behind this transformation, Mr. N. Chandrasekaran, who is the chairman of the Tata Group and Tata Motors. Mr. Chandrasekaran, thanks so much for talking to us. It's been quite a journey, but I just want you to, recap the last couple of months, which have been great, but also there are kind of a few headwinds which we are facing.
Thank you, Hormazd. It's a pleasure to meet with you and my first interaction with Autocar. Thank you for speaking with me. Tata Motors has been going through a massive transformation over the last 5-6 years. And it has been a very invigorating exercise. We have been able to define a different story and a different strategy for each of the segments. Tata Motors was quite complex. Just the number of things the company was doing. Now we have clear focus on commercial vehicles, passenger cars, and JLR.
With the demerger also just happened.
And the demerger has been approved by the board and we have filed. So this should happen in the next 12 months, hopefully. Then we will have two companies, the Tata Motors Commercial Vehicles Company and the Tata Motors Passenger Car Company, which will have both
JLR and
domestic passenger cars and the JLR. The good thing that has happened in Tata Motors, if you see, there are several ways to look at it. One, in terms of the product portfolio, there has been a big change both in strategy and in refresh. You take commercial vehicles, we have distinct portfolios of heavy commercial vehicles, light commercial vehicles, small commercial vehicles, and there is a lot of change that has been brought about in each one, both in terms of product and meeting regulatory requirements and also the financial metrics. Okay, it's been a big change because some of the past metrics are not known and those are things that have happened. And we have also focused significantly on the sales and service, what we call as a non-vehicle business, and we'll talk more about that.
Right.
And you know what has happened in the passenger cars. We have totally created new platforms and new products, and we have branched into EVs and so on. And Jaguar has been transformed into a luxury portfolio.
Right.
They can talk to anyone.
So, I think I want to start with the EV bit because quite honestly, I think you personally took a big bet on that when the EV market really wasn't there. In fact, I think Tata Motors founded the EV market, so to speak, or really, and is still market leader by some way. What was your thinking back then? I mean, to take this bet, because clearly, there was no charging infra, but I think the cost parity was just not there. And we are very price sensitive market. So really there are a lot of things against taking that decision so long back. So I think what made you take that plunge?
See, Tata Motors that time had a market share in the PV segment of less than 5%, 4.5% or so. And there were enough bankers who were advising me that I should shut it down because on an average, the passenger car was losing about 4,000 crores a year. For me, it was very clear that there is a space because the market leader was above 50% market share. The next was below 20%. So I really felt that there is an opportunity if we can get it right. And Tata Motors had done well in the early days. If you remember the 1990s, Indica days, when Mr. Tata launched all those products, whether it is Sierra, whether it is Estate, Indica, you go back to those days and
even the Safari.
There were so many Sumo. There's so many iconic products were there. So I felt that something needed to be done, and I really felt the destination place for passenger cars is electric vehicles. That I had that conviction for a variety of reasons. First is the sustainability is a big theme world over, and it is a reality that the world has to change. We cannot be emitting so much carbon.
CO2 is public enemy number one.
And that I had the conviction. Second thing for me is, if we have to do anything in India, electric vehicles should get the priority because we have the maximum number of polluted cities in the world. 14 out of 20 are in India. So if we have to really solve this problem, in all our companies we have to pivot. So I had this belief not only in Tata Motors but also in Tata Power. Same time we pivoted to electric vehicles here, we also took a decision in Tata Power that we will not put capex in coal. All our capex will go in renewables.
Right. And even the charging infra, I think I took that in that.
Then we said, if we have to win this game, how do we create
an ecosystem?
So I still remember two distinct things I remember. I called Gunther and then said, we've got to build an electric car. He said, 4 years. I said, I'm going to tell you something. You may think I'm a fool or I have no idea, but I said I need it in less than a year. He said, it doesn't happen in auto industry. I said, that is what we have to challenge. Then we agreed that Shailesh will work with me. And when we were having this conversation, the government tender came. So we said, we will form a team. Then we formed a team of about 50 people. We got people from all the Tata companies, Tata Power, TCS, Tata Elxsi, Tata Technologies, Tata Auto Components, Tata Motors. Then Shailesh was given the charge. Then they shifted to Sanand.
Right.
And then worked as one team, I don't know, around the clock to create the first. So my ask was, don't worry about building a super duper car.
That was a smart thing. You use a nice platform.
Create something, then we will see where to go from there. So, but I still have the conviction that electric vehicles is the way to go. It is the destination. And we've got to get there. And we are going to push that very hard.
But Mr. Chandrasekaran, very frankly, you might have the conviction, but the sense one gets is that the consumers their conviction after the early adopters is not as strong as it was. Market for EVs globally is, do you think we are facing a bit of a dip? These are challenges which you have to, and just to understand a lot of, let's say, political uncertainty right now. You've got geopolitical issues. Supply chain is not in our control fully. I mean, there are challenges, and what do you think these are, and how do you think we have to deal with it?
Any transition will have a challenge, but I don't think that I fully agree with everything that you say. There are challenges. There will always be challenges in any transition. This is going to be one of the biggest transitions. So whether the electric vehicle will be the platform of the future, will be the destination thing, there is no doubt about that.
That's how long it will take.
Tesla has already proved it.
Right.
That you can produce fantastic cars and you can sell, you can make money, and you can meet the desire of the consumers. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to whether you can produce high quality cars
profitably,
whether you can produce the cars that the customers love at the right price point and profitably. See, with every model that we have been launching, our margins are getting better. Our Tata Motors electric vehicle company, which is a subsidiary, is already EBITDA break-even with on the product costs. And you will be surprised at the pricing in the cars that will come out, where we will pretty much match the put-down price of the electric vehicle at the higher end of the ICE.
So you're saying parity is already here, but
It's getting there.
is getting there.
And we will make money.
But
we will make money.
But ICE still has the fatter margin, I'm sure, and clearly there is
But volumes have to come. See, I think the day the electric vehicle crosses 20% of the volume, then the volume will start playing up.
Right.
It will happen. It's a journey that it has to happen, and it will happen.
And do you think cell localization? I know you have not gone for the PLI.
We're doing that. We're doing the you'll have
Agritas. I just want to talk on
automotive industry. You always have to take cost out.
Right.
Of the process. That will continue. We will do the localization. More localization that we will do.
Right.
And the battery prices will come down.
Right.
These three will definitely play.
Right. So I just turning to batteries, cell manufacturing, Agritas, which you all are, clearly a big, your vision for that. Is it going to be just for, let's say, Tata Motors, products, JLR products? Is it going to be open to everyone? Because clearly there's a lot of investment and scale required for that. And given the fact that, there is a little bit of a worry on global EV volumes, how do you plan to, what is your vision for that?
See, the Agritas is an independent company. There is a specific reason why it is independent.
Okay, so you will be looking at...
So that we can serve the market.
Right, all OEMs.
All OEMs. And we already have off-take contracts with both Tata Motors and JLR, but we will do with others.
And where does Tata Autocomp fit in? Because they're also doing a pretty good job, Tata Autocomp, giving, supplying packs and batteries to a lot of other OEMs.
See, Tata Auto Components has been one of the biggest turnarounds.
Yeah.
It's a private limited company. And I can tell you, it was number 18 in the auto components company in this country. And it is number 2. And revenues, profits, it's number 2 now. And they have built a huge capability, and they've also used the opportunity of Tata Motors going into electric to pivot to electric and build a whole range of capabilities. Now they are not only serving Indian OEMs, now they are serving international OEMs, and they have put up new centers outside India, multiple centers. So Tata Auto Components is again not a captive. So that will serve the market.
Right.
Agritas will serve the market.
So you'll have both doing at different probably.
But the Agritas is very
Iron,
and it's only focused on batteries.
Right.
Tata Auto Components battery packaging is only one of the capabilities they have. And Tata Auto Components, Agritas will also work together.
Right.
See, one thing that we have really done in the last few years is to bring the group synergy.
That's what I wanted to also talk to you about.
So everybody understands their space.
Right.
And then they take help from each other.
Right.
But each one of them are independent companies. Some of them are listed. Some of them will be listed in the future.
Right.
So
your whole vision of one Tata.
So we created this Tata EV universe.
Right.
And that's the only reason we could launch.
Right.
The electric cars the way we launched. If we had not done that,
right,
we would still be discussing the first model.
Right. And one more thing, Mr. Chandrasekaran, is with your vision of one Tata, so to speak, the, let's say, synergies between JLR and Tata Motors. One thought that there are two extremes of the market, very difficult to find middle ground, which was the case earlier. But I think for the first time we are going to be seeing a common platform and product, which has not been done earlier. I think maybe Harrier with the Land Rover platform, Harrier Safari was the last example. But again, that was just one platform. But here we are seeing more synergies. Do you think also that, the cost structures of both brands are quite different? There may be a challenge over there because, let's say JLR requirements are different from Tata Motors, which is maybe more mass market. How do you bridge that kind of, let's say, in the ecosystem? Or do you think you'll get a lot more scale also, and that's also one of the benefits of having, let's say, one common platform?
See, Hormazd, you don't force feed anything, but you want a culture of openness, and you want a culture of innovation. You want a culture to explore possibilities, and that's what you've done. So what will happen in the Jaguar, Land Rover and the Tata Motors case is that we have been able to find, both the teams have worked together to be able to find areas they can collaborate. Yes, we used a discovery platform before, but now we are creating a platform which is being created as a common platform for a particular model of JLR. Let me not get into details. And which will serve for the high-end platform for Tata Motors.
Right.
And we are able to bring the cost attitude of Tata Motors with the design sophistication of JLR, and we are able to do that. Then we are in a sweet spot. Then you get the benefit accruing for both in two different ways, and the volumes go up, which justifies the investment that goes into the platform.
Right.
So it may not be individually viable for Tata Motors to make that investment, and JLR volumes may not be enough. So these are things that will happen when the two teams talk. And we are talking about not only the platforms, we are talking about the electronic architecture.
Right. That's the very expensive, and that's the next way.
Then we are talking about the software-defined vehicles. So there are many things happening which you need certain features for Tata Motors, you need a certain features for JLR. And both the teams work on their requirements and then see what is it that we can do together. And if it works, it's great. In this case, they've been at it for last 2 years, and we have hit a sweet spot.
No, you talked about scale, and especially in areas of electric and electronic architecture, software-defined vehicles. To be honest, do you think we all are still globally, in a way, subscale, both Tata Motors and JLR, looking at your volumes? And, we've seen right now the announcement of Honda and Nissan also tying up just on SDVs, because it really requires a lot of collaboration. Are you still open to outside collaboration? I mean, is that, or do you think, because clearly earlier you all were looking at collaborations. There was a period you all did flirt with a lot of other OEMs, and that going to come to that as well. Is the scale enough, or are we still a bit too subscale, just given the way the investments are required for this huge transition?
See, there are many points here. First is, the world is getting more and more complex, not only in automotive industry, in every industry. So collaboration mindset is always essential. You can never say, I am going to be for myself. How will you collaborate is something that you got to think. Just platform sharing was something that was always there in the auto industry, right? But whether you create joint IP, that is something you got to think about. Sometimes you want to have control over IP. Sometimes you want to be very sure about the outcome. So this space will play out. You have seen many announcements by many international, even big guys.
Right.
Buying companies or investing in companies or jointly developing IP. All this is happening. Whether it is electronic architecture or SDVs especially.
Right.
There are many examples, and some are successful, some are not successful. Agility is key. Software is key. So we will be open for many things, but we will also do things ourselves.
But just to answer on scale.
I have to just answer two questions. One is on the scale. With all humility, I should say that keep talking about scale is not always the right thing. Everybody talks about scale. I have to sell 5 million vehicles, 4 million vehicles. But that is an outcome. Your investment depends on your cash flows. You can produce 7 million vehicles you can sell and not make cash flows. Then you cannot invest. So for me, the important thing is the ability to invest and ability to execute depends on cash flows and small teams. And sometimes you need the pressure that if I don't succeed, I have no future. Sometimes you are making bets which are option value. Then your commitment to that success is 40 to 80%. In times like this, what you need is whenever you make a bet, you need 120% hunger. Right. So that's what makes things successful. Because if you have anyway something, these are all working, but let me do this, one of which will succeed. Things don't happen, in my experience.
Right.
Things happen when you go all in.
Right. But, again, looking at JLR, coming to Jaguar, you're going on a completely electric portfolio. From what I understand, maybe just 2 or 3 models right now. I mean, really the portfolio of Jaguar itself has shrunk. I mean, clearly profits are coming from the Land Rover side. Are you a little concerned, that the model range has also shrunk initially from what it is and going forward?
It's a very conscious strategy. JLR is positioned as a luxury vehicle. So we want to really make those, so the original value proposition of Jaguar is that exclusivity.
Right. So it's going to be a more
special status. So Jaguars is not a volume player. Okay, now we sell with JLR, now we are about 420,000 vehicles, 420,000 vehicles. And, we have done at our peak 600,000 vehicles.
Right.
So with the new models coming in, we'll sell more. We'll definitely sell more from here. But this is not a mass brand. This is a luxury brand.
Right.
So it's a very conscious call. The positioning is very conscious and you will see the car. When the new Jaguar car comes, you will see it. Very different.
And it'll have that price positioning and a premium.
It will go, all the things that go with the luxury brand will go with it.
Yeah, so that
I can price, that positioning, brand, everything will go with it.
Right. But there could be a challenge if the brand, to be honest, can take that slightly higher premium into a, let's say, into a position where, there are other brands which have traditionally been over there. So is that something?
See, Hormazd, you have a strategy. You have to execute.
Right.
Outcome we have to see.
Right.
Nobody can be,
Right.
So we are going on a path with Land Rover, Range Rover, Defender Octa, and we're going with the next generation full electric.
Right.
It's a new architecture, JE architecture.
Right.
Right. And we will launch those products in 26.
Right. Looking forward to that. Just switching to, let's say, to certain core parts of the industry, I want to talk on the supply chain, raw material, especially for EV. We're still very, very dependent on China. When do you think we'll become more self-reliant? Also, you put a lot of bet on semiconductors, fab units here. So I just want to get your vision on, let's say, really controlling or taking control of the supply chain, which is very, very critical, especially in the EV space.
See, I think, world is connected. You can't say that I'm going to decouple. And when we are making investments in batteries, when we are making electronics, it is not to say that we are trying to create an ecosystem where we will do everything for ourselves. That is not the point. Each one of them presents an opportunity in the global supply chain. What is required in the global supply chain, whether it is auto sector or any other sector, is redundancy. And we'll need more players. So we see an opportunity for us in electronics. We are playing the entire value chain of electronics. in manufacturing, we are in packaging, we are in assembly and test, we are in fab, we'll be in design. So we play the entire value chain. And we have gone ahead and created a strategy to develop batteries. Yes, we are producing lithium ion and NMC, but we are setting up an R&D center. We are working with startups, we are working with academia. So tomorrow we may produce sodium, we may produce solid state, we may produce aluminum. We don't know where the technology will go.
Right.
But it is a commitment you make. So whether we will be dependent on one nation, other nations, I mean, this supply chain is evolving. So we will have to keep moving to strengthen the resiliency of the supply chain. So you can't say we are here today, the supply chain will look where you can produce 100% assurance here. Today, with all the suppliers, we are creating redundancy and creating as much assurance as possible. The redundancy and the assurance will get better every year. And it will evolve. And because geopolitics doesn't stay constant.
Right.
Right? One is your strategy. Second one is you continue to take into account the moving parts.
Right.
So that's how the supply chain
But
has
in your estimate, how long do you think, to be honest, put it very plainly, take for us to be self-reliant?
Never ask you mean who? You mean India?
India.
I mean, see, at the end of the day, it all depends on geopolitics. But there are enough material outside China also.
Right.
So you can procure from outside China also. And at the end of the day, everything comes down to whether you own, whether you procure,
Refine.
what is the cost. So there are different scenarios that will play out.
But the technology, to be at the cutting edge of technology, especially in this space. I mean, India, honestly, is still quite far behind.
We will get there.
How long do you think it will take to
I
get?
don't want to put a timeline, but
Right.
we're getting there. Every single investment that we make gets us closer.
So we are catching up.
We're
with
catching
you.
up. And we'll
Right.
catch up.
Mr. Chandrasekaran, I want to talk on
But you should never assume that any country is going to be completely self-sufficient and in 100% in everything.
right. No, we are
You
too
will
connected
always
about
work with different sources, but you need to create enough redundancy so that the resiliency is not impacted.
Right. So, Mr. Chandrasekaran, I want to turn to, let's say, looking at multiple powertrain options and the challenges over there. Because clearly, while you've said that, EV is the final solution, but the transition seems to be getting longer. ICE, you said, will be last man standing in ICE. There are you've done a lot in CNG as well. We've got now biofuels coming in. Hybrids, they're talking about. Very, very difficult for a company to really invest in everything. So what are the bets you're taking? And of course, there's this talk about hybrids. So wanted your view on hybrids. And clearly, because the sense one gets is you're still ICE and EV and of course CNG, but hybrids is something you'll have not really looked at.
See, if you see ICE as the starting point, electric vehicle is the destination. That has been globally accepted, and that's how globally every country has pushed electric vehicles and given incentives to move people, because that's going to solve the number one enemy, as you rightly said. In between, there are a variety of transitions. Tata Motors also, one of the success we have had is we have not only launched nameplates, we have launched every nameplate in multiple powertrains. So we have diesel, we have petrol, we have CNG, so every electric. So one of the things that we have done is to expand the powertrain options, because customers need their choice. And sometimes the price points vary because there are external factors. So we will continue to see what are the transition points. But the point that you have to remember is none of this is new. Hybrid has been there for 20 years. Hybrid is not something new.
But would you want to invest in it as a...
See, what powertrains we will create is a matter of detail. It is not that we will do, we will not do, etc. Whatever is required for the customer, we will do.
A lot of investment required for that as well.
But it's only a fraction of the whole thing, because it's not that you're building the platform, you're not. Okay. So we keep innovating. Even the CNG, the twin cylinder,
Right.
was a very good innovation.
Absolutely.
So which got a lot of customer acceptance. So to my mind, the important point is to not focus on the destination. And when we have to go there, and already we started only 4 years ago,
Right.
and we were from 1%, less than 1%. Today we are 15%.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I am pretty confident that we will. I think the government is expecting 30% 2030. We'll hit that way ahead.
You think we will be 30%
Much before 2030.
EV penetration
EV penetration in Tata Motors.
in Tata Motors?
I can't tell for the industry. I hope the industry does.
Right.
I want everybody to shoot for that milestone, because it's required.
Yeah.
In India, definitely it's required. And I hope that all OEMs commit to that timeline. But
And
my
same, of
goal-
course,
my goal is-
Cafe 3 will also accelerate.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything will definitely accelerate.
But the only worry is the natural demand somehow doesn't seem to match.
It will come. See, at the end of the day, the moment you are able to meet the product, quality, experience, and cost.
Right.
So why is it that we are able to sell Punch EV? Why is it that we are able to sell Nexon EVs?
Right.
Right? We can always say we were growing, let's say, 100% every year.
Right.
But that's not going to happen. You are not going on as your volume, the scale becomes larger and larger.
Right.
When you see, first year we sold 1,000 vehicles.
Right.
Then we sold 5,000 vehicles. From 5,000 we went to 19,500 vehicles. From 19,500 we went to 40,000 vehicles.
Right.
Then we have gone to 74,000 vehicles. And now, are you going to go from 74,000 to 150? We're not going to go to 150. But can we go to 120? It's not a bad deal.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a bad deal. So I think you should not lose perspective. Sometimes you can easily lose perspective.
Yeah.
And also it depends on how much more models we launch. Yes, now Curvy EV will come.
Right.
Then after that Harrier EV will come.
Right. So just talking, just on talking on the ICE side, I just want to press you on this. Sense one gets is you all accelerated in EV, but to be honest, on engines, let's say, bit of challenges there, especially your dependency on Fiat for the diesel. Clearly, that's limited certain options, what you can do with the Harrier. There's been no petrol over there. One feels that there could have been so much more synergy on the ICE side between JLR and Tata Motors, but I think that boat has now sailed. Do you feel maybe on the ICE side, you all had a little bit of, I would say, a bit of a weakness?
See, at the end of the day, Tata Motors has gone from 2 lakh vehicles to close to 6 lakh vehicles in the span of 3 to 4 years. While we've done exceedingly well on electric vehicles, still the vast majority of this is non-electric vehicles. I'm saying it non-electric vehicles because it's a combination of petrol, diesel and CNG.
Right.
So we have not done badly in the ICE engines at all.
Fair enough, but I just want to press
But
you on
can we do more? Yes, we can do more. Should we be investing more? Market will determine.
So you are still open to investing more in ICE?
You see, our goal is to push the adoption to electric vehicles
Right.
more and more. But that does not mean we will not invest in ICE engines. So we will have to give the customers the choices. And as I said, we are confident that we will be much more than the 30% target for our portfolio. And you must have done the math. I'm not going to tell you what is the advantage we have in terms of carbon credits.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know our numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? And we're keeping an eye. And not only from a financial point of view, I don't want to sound funny. I genuinely and honestly believe the right thing to do is to push electric vehicles.
Right.
For that, we need to produce the best cars. We need to invest. We need to come out with the right price points. We need to give great charging infrastructure, and which we are continuing to expand. So we have to do all of this. We have taken the lead and we are going to see this through.
Just to be more specific on the engine side, for the bigger vehicles, can we expect something? Because I don't think Fiat is going to last beyond, may not get to the end.
We will
of the
see.
decade.
We are not going to, let me put it this way, we are not going to suffer.
Right. Okay. So you will
What
have some
is the solution, we will see.
So you're going to have some options to the Fiat diesel, which is likely to go.
Yeah. We are not going to suffer.
Right. Okay. Just, talking about your volumes, 200 to 600,000, been a fantastic ride. No two ways about it. I mean, no one could have imagined this 4 years back. Aspirations to be number 2 in the market, is that something you would like? I mean, is that a internally stated goal?
See, I don't think whether you are number 2, number 1, number 3, these things matter.
I'm sure they do at some point.
Well, these are bragging rights.
Right.
But what is more important is, how do you continue to come up with products that excite the customer? See, for me, the priorities are very simple. We need to launch more products. And every product must have the features which are top of the line. And products have to have that coolness
Right.
for different customer segments. And our service has to go up. Our sales and service experience has to be top notch.
That is one challenge right now, I think.
The reliability of the cars
Right.
has to continue to... See, we have, in all dimensions, we have gone better and better by.
But do you think of the software? Yeah.
It's a journey, and we will have best software platform.
Right.
We are working on that.
But do you think right now, to be honest, there are a lot of glitches. There are, you must have, is it software issue is still a little bit of a pain point right now before we get to STVs, because too many softwares talking to each other has caused a problem for a lot of...
See, these things will get fixed. See, the one good thing about software is...
You can fix it
You
easily.
can fix it if you design it correctly.
Correct.
Once you designed it correctly, then you can fix it.
Future-proofed it.
Yeah. But if you have not designed it correctly, then you've got to go to the drawing board.
Right. So this is one area that you think...
We'll continue to evolve. And we want to have we have the capability.
Right.
We just need to drive the aspiration.
Right.
At the end of the day, you got to set the bar high.
Right.
If you set the bar high, it happens.
Right.
If you don't set the bar high, then chalta hai attitude will come.
and lastly, just looking at the journey from where you, let's say 2020, Tata Motors was, not in great shape. You were even looking at joint ventures. We are aware that you were talking to Geely at that point. Maybe, I don't know what do you want to comment on that as a way of maybe funding technology. But I think then again, you're going to the market, raising capital with TPG Rise. Obviously, you set the ball rolling on that. Do you think now that era is over? No more looking for, partners for capital, for technology. If you have the capital, you can do it on your own. I just want to understand, is that part of the journey sort of something which Tata Motors has also evolved?
I want to set certain things that you said correct. First is...
Any comment on Geely
I'll give you all comments. There's nothing, everything is open book here. So, we were talking much more about platform sharing.
with Geely?
With Geely.
Right.
See, investment decisions from various interested parties always comes.
You had a gap between Nexon and Harrier.
People will always want to invest in Tata Motors. Many people want to invest in Jaguar. Many people want to join hands with Jaguar. All these things happen. But for us, it's our companies. We run these companies. And we have a great future for these companies. From our point of view, we'll always be open for collaboration. What form of collaboration, we'll have to see. If there is a platform that we need and somebody else can give us, and we can launch the products faster, we should be taking those platforms. We shouldn't be pig-headed and then saying, I'm going to build my own.
Right.
So, the buy versus build, or partner versus build, is always a time to market issue.
Right.
And the fitness of the issue, whether what you get is really what you need.
Right.
It gives you what you need. So those kind of discussions will always happen. It is not only with the company that you mentioned. These things have happened with many players.
Right.
Many people who have met me, and I have met many people. These dialogues keep going.
Right.
Always. It will continue to happen. Second thing, The TPG rise funding was just not to only get funding. To be very frank, Tata Sons board was kind enough to give me approval. I don't want to quote a number. To invest in Tata Motors, infuse capital, much significant, more money than we took from Geely. I had that option.
More than Geely.
More than Geely. We had that. I had the approval, I had the money, I could have infused it. The only reason we went for TPG rise, for me there are two reasons. One is a market validation. Second thing is, I wanted to have a partner looking into the progress of the company in the board. So it will keep everybody under pressure and everybody honest. So I felt that that was required, especially in a new area where we are going. That was the only reason we went for external funding. Funding, Tata Sons board had approved much larger amount.
Right. And how's it going with the TPG rise? I mean,
They have been great partners.
Is there a volume commitment for other tranches of? I mean, is that and you're a little bit under pressure on that? You have to deliver a certain volume. I'm just trying to.
See, there is no. See, now the way all these deals are done is there is a volume,
Milestones.
All those milestones and that Tata was doing is being extreme. Tata Motors electric vehicle company is doing extremely well, and we would like to sell more. Obviously, we would like the volume to be more. But as I said, whether you're going to grow at 35%, 50%, 60%, 100%, it can fall anywhere.
Right.
And we have to continue to make it attractive for customers. So we've got to create the infrastructure, we've got to create, I told you all the things, quality, more products, more range.
Right.
So you will see our new models have much larger range.
Right.
So we have to address each one of these issues. The good thing is we have got more than almost close to 1.5 lakh cars on the road.
Right. So you're not too worried about what is the flattening of demand right now? No. Are you worried about the flattening of demand?
These things will happen, boss. It's a cycle.
Right. It's a cycle.
So
right.
It will happen. One quarter then festive season will come, it will pick up. Then another quarter somebody will say, I've heard these stories all the time.
Right.
And these things happen.
And before I let you go, I want to talk to you on a personal note. I think what people don't know is that you actually like driving and you enjoy getting behind the wheel. I mean, if you can just share, from what I understand, you've driven a lot when you were in the UK, US, even in India, you've tested your vehicles. So, just some experiences you've had.
See, I like long drives. Day to day, I don't drive from home to here. Primarily is because you are on the phone or whatever it is, and it's not fun driving from Pedder Road to Bombay House. I like long drives, and I used to drive a hell of a lot when I was in the US. And I have driven almost every nook and corner of the UK. I used to live in Hampshire. I've driven to every corner of UK. Probably I would have done more miles in those 4 years than most people. My longest drive was from Land's End to John O'Groats.
The whole distance?
Whole distance.
Wow.
Right. And in India, I like to go for long drives. And the only thing I get to do most of the time is go from here to Pavna, where I have a small place. So I usually go on the Defender.
You drive yourself?
I drive myself. And the long drive I took was from Bombay to Goa, when Tata Motors was coming up with different cars. So I drove the whole distance in 4 different cars.
Or
Tigor, and then I dropped it somewhere, switched to Harrier, then switched to Ultras.
But
yeah.
But running over driving for you, I guess, is a
Running I do every day. Driving I do. So I would love to do long distance driving, and especially when you have a car like Defender, to go on long drives.
Mr. Chandrasekaran, you're a marathon man. We know. I think with that mindset, it's all about the long term. It's all about having a secure future. Thanks so much for talking to us. A real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.